Is there any agenda additions or deletions?
I'd like to request an executive session with the board.
Under what?
Executive session. Oh, like as a topic?
We have to have a
Yeah,
reason.
personnel or
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second, or is there a motion?
I'll move that we do this, executive session for personnel.
Okay, and under,
Do it at the very end after select board concerns, George.
That's fine.
okay, that sounds good. Is there a second?
second time.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to go into executive session at the end of the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. I'd ask for a motion with the regard to the December 11th minutes.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Is there any other comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Alright.
Anyone opposed?
I'll recuse myself because I wasn't here.
Okay. Duly noted. Highway, road commissioner report.
Been, just a, I'm still out and I've heard quite a bit good comments about the road crew. We only had like 3 different light storms and they handled it. The other thing is we just received the new grader this morning and the dealer, the salesman was down and we went through it and it's quite impressive piece of equipment. Great. And that's all I got for that part.
Do you have any, anything to bring up about the old excavator?
The old grader?
Yeah.
The old grader was taken in on trade,
Okay, good.
with the agreement we originally had.
Anything else?
That's all I have on that part.
All right, flood recovery timeline?
That's something Katie can follow up on.
Yeah, I sent an engineering RFP out to you guys as like a draft for you to review. I kind of need to get this going in order to apply for the emergency grant funds because I need some type of construction costs to go off of to apply for those funds. So I believe starting in July, we had a total of 5 damaged sites. So these are 3 that I think we need engineering services on. They would be covered, 1 by FEMA and the other 2 by the emergency grant if we get it. So I'm just bringing this to your attention. So if I have approval to post the RFP.
I see no reason why we shouldn't continue.
The only question that I had is the only one you actually make a suggestion on, which I wonder if we should stay away from, is number 2, where you say bank stabilization and stabilizing the culvert are possible solutions, but we don't state anything like that for any of the other projects. So I'm wondering if that sentence should just come out and leave it
Number
to
2?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
leave it to the engineer to determine, so that we're not. Because then if you get like 2 engineers that are bidding against each other and somebody comes back and says, well, the town says they wanted it done that way, you know, like,
Well, that's
and,
where I'm iffy. Like, I don't know how these things are supposed to be repaired.
you know what I'm saying?
All on the same page and for Apple, you're saying?
Well-
About the bidding?
I'm saying then it leaves it to the engineers to interpret it.
Right.
And
Right.
and if we get,
Well, so I should take out the number 1 where I say possible riprap to be keyed in. Like the second sentence. I
yeah,
think.
so yeah, so the second sentence should go on that one too.
And then for the Cold River Middle Road, I say to stack rock against the eroded slope and tie bank into concrete wing wall section, which is I think what you, like Cash and Art, met with Josh about for further work to be done there.
Yeah,
Because
Right now, it's
that's what he had suggested.
So I mean, I guess my thought would be, should those 3 sentences
take
come
those
out? And that way, because ultimately we want it on the state. The state, we want them to basically get their directions from the state. We don't want. I don't know. I guess in my mind, we might potentially become part of the equation here, which we may not necessarily want to be.
So you're thinking of removing the whole thing,
No, just those sentences.
just those sentences, okay.
So that'll leave the state of having a say of
Well,
kind of responsible.
the engineer-
with the engineer.
we're not telling the engineer how to do it. The
Right.
engineer's going
Right.
to tell us.
Right. And they'll work with the
what they're
river
for.
engineer to get a permit anyways.
And then it's on the engineer ultimately to be
Ultimately.
liable to answer for how it should be done.
So I'll edit it and send it back out.
Okay,
But I mostly wanted to get it going because
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve it with those 3 deletions.
agree, I'll second.
All right, there's a motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? To help you,
who motioned it?
George.
What?
Or did Robert motion it?
I made a
I
motion.
think- Yeah.
Robert
George
Murphy.
seconded it.
Did you, George?
What?
You did that?
I did, all by myself.
Also, I guess I could talk about flood recovery here as well. I talked a little bit about it in budget with the brick grant. I've been talking with Vermont Emergency Management, and we're making good progress on it. It has to be to the state by January 12th, so at the January 8th meeting, I'm hoping to have it ready for you guys to look at.
Good.
Okay.
Anything else, Katie?
That's all for that.
Approval of the select board warrants, they're all right here. Everybody signed them, I assume.
You think go Cash's way, or somebody's got to have them yet?
Did I get both of them?
Those got to go to Cash and George.
And this one's gotta go over court, I think. Got it. Okay. Public, anybody wants to look at that, they can, as soon as it gets signed. Guests, do we have any special guests tonight?
They're all special.
Well, the Quarterline Road is on the agenda, I believe, so.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's
So
common.
that's,
I don't know.
we can, public comments, but we can scale down
I can
to
either Make
open.
a suggestion now, or I can wait when we start talking about the Quarterline Road.
Let's start talking about the Quarterline Road.
Next.
And it's next anyhow. So old business, Quarterline Road maintenance follow-up.
You all received back from Rutland Town about your offer of swapping, so that's before you.
Have you guys seen that response?
I was on the call,
Okay.
so I don't know exactly what they sent back to you folks, but I was able to call.
Want to read it?
I can read it. Yeah, the gist of it is that they decline
Right,
and that they have a snowplow assigned to it. Basically, I take it as they're trying to end the conversation, but that's my
That was the
interpretation.
contract,
Yes.
yeah.
So, I can if you want me to read it, but that's the gist.
No, because I was, like I said, I was on the Zoom call. I was able to call
Okay.
in. I couldn't figure out how to get off of mute, but
Would you like us to make a copy of this?
yeah,
So
I
that you
can share that with
Take it
everybody.
with you
'cause,
so that if you're having,
yeah, a bunch of people are out of town this week.
so Katie, can you?
Yeah,
I have it right here.
So one of the other suggestions that was brought up by another road commissioner to me somehow was aware of this suggestion that was being brought up. How that happened, I don't know the mechanics of that. But the suggestion is because of the cost of the difference of the cost with the salt versus the sand seemed to be the hang-up point for Rutland Town.
Okay.
All right, salt's a lot more expensive than sand, so it was going to cost Rutland Town more, and it's a contractor that they have 10 pay periods and so on. So his suggestion was maybe Clarendon, because Rutland Town doesn't have a grader, maybe Clarendon would grade that section of the road for Rutland Town, thank you, for Rutland Town to plow that section that you offered, Robert, from.
Oh, you're saying to make the trade more even,
Yeah,
so to speak?
economic, yeah, and I don't know. It was a road commissioner. I was talking to them about another totally different project, and the conversation came up. And I was like, I'm coming to the select board meeting. I know that this was gonna be, brought up, and figured it was worth kind of putting out there, just to see if it's,
I guess where I would go with that, and I know obviously we need the road commissioner's opinion too, but if we were gonna do something like that, and I realize it's only half a mile trading services, like, cause I think that's kind of the vein we're in right now.
right,
I would like to see it as a part of the agreement that whatever it looks like, that the material would be provided or paid
Supplied.
supplied by Rutland Town.
I think that would be obviously.
Like so if a load of gravel's needed, they're gonna supply the load of gravel.
so when we went to their
something like
meeting
that.
way back in August,
Yep.
right, the one that you couldn't.
'Cause I
attend
couldn't
it
go
was in
because of
the middle
school.
the
Yep.
day, which was fine.
Yep.
And they said that. They said, if Clarendon's grading and if we know about it, we will
They
will
would
bring
provide
you
the material.
The material. We'll be there and waiting. So,
Both George and I heard that same thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think myself that makes it palatable to me. I could live with that type of a proposal. Just one person
Yeah.
sitting here. I could live with that type of an arrangement if that would make it more equitable. Because I mean, let's face it, running a grader down through there a few times a year is going to be more expensive. I mean, there's going to be more cost associated to that. So, if that they feel brings it a little bit more to the even level, I'd be willing to have the conversation.
Great. We appreciate
So
that.
the conversation would be you swap winter maintenance and we grade. Or-
Yeah, well, bringing into the conversation grading, I think any extraordinary beyond that, like
Material needed.
material, I don't want to go down, at least right now. I mean, if they want to talk about it, we'd have to. I don't want to go down the road of talking about ditching or anything like that.
They
We're
said they
ta-
would do that one at that first meeting. They said
Right.
they would deal with ditching and
Yeah, they-
So if
They
if,
have already.
if we're just talking about trading the plowing and the grading, and they're going to supply the materials and they're going to take care of everything else, I'd be open to that discussion.
With that being said, too, what bothers me too on that part is because of the road base in that section of road, all of a sudden, our roads are in real good shape. The graders on this side of towns, somebody, well, look, Shelley, you call up and say, "You got potholes in Rutland Town." What are we supposed to do? Drop everything and go up there? Because that's going to almost require.
Well, I think we're going to
That's
have to
all.
put it in our agreement that it's going to have to be when we're there. Like it's got to be
You
like you
understand
say
what I mean.
we can't drop everything and go back to the other side of town. If we're over there working, we're not going to jeopardize that side of town to run back and do that. And I think there's going to have to be that type of arrangement. And maybe the discussion that would be, obviously, if we're going to go down this road between you and Bill or whoever, Dave. Yeah, Dave.
Sears.
Sorry, I get my people mixed up. But your conversation with Dave might be the first couple times that gets graded. Maybe there needs to be that conversation of, hey, we're going to need 4 or 5 loads of stuff, to make sure that this gets up where it really ought to be.
And that's one of the things that was said at that meeting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, the other thing
Yes.
was, if there's
Absolutely.
potholes, I don't think you weren't supposed to be required to go down there more than on that piece of road, more than you were going to do Clarendon. The
Right.
Clarendon.
That's
section.
what I'm saying. We're
You
not
only,
going to have to.
you grade twice a year. You keep going down a half a mile and turn around and come back. If you grade 3 times a year, you keep going all the way down and come back.
And if material's needed,
But
they've
if,
got to
but
drop
if
it.
it's something special, like
How does that work? Like when we put the bichloride down for our own road, do we?
Don't
you know,
worry
that
about the
should be-
chloride.
I was
that
going to
should
say
be-
that's
We're not
a
worried about the chloride.
That's,
We're worried about the potholes.
that's what's holding these roads together, though.
that's why I'm saying if that's going to be part of the discussion, that's going to be ironed out in the write up.
right.
Like that if they want that, that's gotta be part of the discussion, and that's gonna have to be looked at dollars to cents. You know, now maybe dropping mag chloride on it twice a year is what's gonna, maybe that's gonna bring things even. I don't know, but we gotta.
I'm wondering if, we're gonna be shooting emails back and forth between the two towns. I'm wondering if we couldn't have a special meeting and have those select board members and road commissioner from that town come here and have an eyeball conversation.
Versus doing this,
Right, all that stuff.
where now all of a sudden you're having a conversation and it's amongst everybody, which,
Well, I think ultimately they're gonna punt it to their
Select board.
highway committee
Right.
probably to start with.
Committee, then select board.
So what I would say is this board needs to probably designate 3 people that are going to be a part of the discussion to go. And if, I can't, sorry, but just with my work schedule, and usually those things are during the day, it doesn't work for me. But
So
if there's,
one of those 3 members, if we do agree to what you're suggesting, should be the
Oh,
road commissioner.
absolutely, because he knows the dollars and cents.
Yeah.
And they
And-
would do that at a select board meeting in the evening because they made that special arrangement back in the spring when we all made it in the evening and that was on the agenda. So therefore, this highway department was there with the road commissioner and quite a few of us were there, Rutland Town neighbors and Clarendon neighbors. And we even had Art there and quite a few other people there. So there was like over 30 people sitting there.
But again, where I'm at, Cash, materials, and to me, mag chloride's material.
Yeah, certainly is.
Materials on them. That's the only thing I'm saying is,
Let me make this
I
suggestion.
just trying to make it
Instead of us,
yeah.
cover all bases.
instead of us sitting here throwing this all back and
Right.
forth and sending emails, we asked Katie to send them a letter and saying that, at least 3 of our board members and road commissioner are willing to sit down, meet. What's your schedule?
That's fine.
Is that okay with the board?
It's fine with me.
But Shelley, your interpretation from that Zoom is that they were open to having that discussion?
well, I don't know, because I just heard about it that suggestion was just made to me last week, and that Zoom call was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
It was just before Christmas, so.
But this will not be maybe or maybe not. This will be a direct, and then we'll
So
find out.
everyone hears it.
Right.
I went to the meeting that Shelley's
Yeah.
talking about. I was there and everything else, and they blatantly said right out that they were probably looking at between $300 to $4,500 difference in contractor fees if they plowed to the creek road using the magic number of 10.
I think it's in this letter somewhere. If I remember it.
Yeah, it was
like
$3,500.
$348 times 10 pay period.
Yeah, they put in $3,500 on this letter.
Yeah.
I think if you sit down, we can call it an emergency meeting, we can call it a special meeting, with anything we want, and iron some of these things out, and then they will go back to their select board,
right.
and we will bring it back to our select board. Then we don't have to do this every week,
Yeah.
or every
Yeah.
month,
Yeah.
or every 2
Yeah.
months,
Yeah.
however
You
we.
tired of having us come here?
Yeah.
No,
So-
we like you to come here, but next time bring some food.
We'll work on that.
Probably the fix of all of it was probably you should have just looked at the original proposal instead of just sending them an email saying don't send that.
Well, that was the feeling back then, but now our feeling has changed a little. It sounds like they have changed a little bit. So instead of doing this,
So
let's
do
see
you
if
want
we
a letter or an email suggesting this in-person meeting?
do the email, but then when you get it, then we'll make it public.
And are you requesting them to meet as a highway committee, or are you inviting them here?
That's.
I think
up
we
to-
ought to go there.
Yeah, I think that it's up to them. You
But
can
why
put
not?
that in the meeting that we prefer, as George suggests, that we go down to their, meeting facility. I think that,
By virtue of going there, it would demonstrate that we're open for discussion. I think.
and then if we come to a tentative agreement, then we can bring it back to our supervisory boards and, or whatever you wanna call us, and make a decision.
Sure.
Does that sound good to you guys?
That's
Art?
that's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
I'll,
Yes.
You got to see what their availability is and go from there.
Yep.
I'd like to know what our costs would be to grade that road.
Obviously,
too.
you got to work that up
especially
too.
especially if they have to bring material in. It's not just grading it. Now they're bringing material in. We've got to grade material. You know, we're talking about a serious
That's why I'm sitting down
amount
with
of time and
you know,
work.
the guys and say, okay, how long does it take to go that far?
Yeah, you got to work out.
And they
Mhm.
so
Labor
we have to look
and-
at everything. You're talking probably 3/4 of a day
If you're gonna, if they're gonna,
to spruce it up and stuff.
Yeah, to
Do
get
it
it
right.
up to some kind of.
Throw it
spec.
out, then lay down gravel, then work it back
But
out.
but if they're willing to meet us halfway, their cost for material, their cost for trucking it in, then our cost would be, you know, okay, we'll do this work for you. I'm sure that, I know Dave for a long time, I know his father for a long time, I'm sure that we could come to some agreement where they could have one or two of their employees up there just for the rebuild, if that's what you wanna call it. Make sense?
And their first proposal was that they
We're
would pay
discussing.
you for your time.
well, that's where we don't want. I, for
Don't
one,
wanna
we
be-
still don't want to go there.
No.
I'm still not interested in going down that road.
Shelley?
So what if let's say they hired Wilk, because I know that's who's greater. They hired Wilk to get that road up to where it sort of needs to be, and then just Clarendon, if they needed one load of gravel, fine, but that way Clarendon just comes down, they grade a couple times a year, turn around in Pete Billings' driveway, which is probably way easier turning around in than the little pull-off that Dave Chaffee has. So, I don't know if they.
That's why I'm saying, you and I can discuss this all
Yeah,
night long.
exactly.
If we have that entity from Rutland Town and us sitting in the same room looking, let's draw this up. He knows
Right.
the concerns we have here. I'm sure they know the concerns. I think we could finally get
Put
this
some
over.
thinking caps on and see if we can't figure this out.
It's their road concern, but it's our taxpayers' concern.
Right.
I would also recommend, if Mr. Congdon is up for it, to work with Katie on the composition of the message.
I think the initial message is pretty straightforward. Just
Okay.
that we're interested in having a sit down.
All
and
right,
I don't think there needs to be any finessing to it.
okay.
I'll still send you a draft.
We could certainly use my language.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you guys. All right. Anything else on that?
I just would like to say thank you.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you too. For all
We'll
your
see
time.
where it goes. New business, E-Cycle State Standard Plan Extension. You wanna speak to that, Katie?
Yeah, this is an amendment to the Vermont Standard Plan for our e-waste pickup. National Center for Electronics Recycling picks up our e-waste, so they're just extending it for another year. I believe we signed one end of last year as well.
Is there a charge on that? Is that for recycling to the state?
It's just through the solid waste, really.
Yeah.
I think is where it really originates.
All right.
We're supposed to actually get paid. I think we get paid a little bit of a rebate for that stuff. It's not much, but we get a little bit back on what goes by weight.
Okay.
All right.
Is it the chair?
Yes. It has
Make a
to be
motion that the chair, on behalf of the board, sign the plan extension for E-Cycle.
Yep.
Go for it, Mike.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Christmas. My granddaughter got me this for Christmas.
I thought it was Mickey Mouse or something.
I didn't want to say nothing.
And he likes it. She's fine.
Every time something
She's
passes, that's how we're gonna mark it.
That's right. This is my vote from now on.
I thought maybe,
Geez, Art, I didn't think you were
Crossroad or
getting old enough to be going into your second childhood.
Well,
At least got the right color.
Heidi, do you have anything else you wanna report?
Just a side note on the e-waste recycling we were just talking about, just to give folks an idea, Robert mentioned. This fiscal year, the one payment we received for a rebate was $92. So again, very small.
Big money.
That doesn't
Yay.
like-
Yes. Continuing to work on budget. I know it's a hot topic around all of these parts this time of year, so we're continuing to try to do our best to make sure to do the best for the voters and the taxpayer. So that's all I have.
Where are you? Where are you? Oh,
Nope, I have
right, I'm
nothing
usually
tonight.
sitting over there where Bob's hiding.
Yeah, Bob took my chair. No, I'm all set.
Okay. Katie,
I forwarded you guys an email that we received the funding for emergency watershed protection. So that's for debris removal in the Otter Creek. So
What was
technically
the last part I didn't hear?
debris removal in the Otter Creek.
Okay, got it.
So technically that funding is secured, but now I have to do a bunch of documents for a grant application to get that money. So I'm hoping to work on that for the next meeting, because there's a 220-day deadline on when that money can be used.
how much was the funding?
57,000.
Yeah, just for the record, so
57,800. Yeah.
Down by John Molson's on his side,
Yeah, that tree, all that debris that's in the.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
I can't
just
believe it's
wanted
going to
clarify
cost us
it.
that much money to get it out of there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's what like the NRCS engineer
Oh yeah.
estimated.
Well, you
so-
can't hurt any fish.
one side looks like a pond, the other side looks like a dried up creek.
The whole sign
Uh,
double.
Anything else, Katie?
Don't matter to me.
That's all.
All right,
I did?
Art, do you have
No,
any
I don't know.
concerns?
No,
Did Mike?
Rob,
no, it was,
Wish everybody a happy new year, and we'll see you in the new year.
myself included, thank you.
I don't
You have any concerns? George?
in view of the fact that we're having an executive session, excuse me, employee kind of concerns, I can bring my concern up there.
Okay.
It'll be a personnel issue.
Okay. Do you have any concerns?
New Year, and thank you for all coming.
All right, at this time, I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session personnel issue.
So moved.
Sign underneath it. I
Is
guess.
there any
That's all it was.
objection?
Time limit.
Can we do a 15-minute time limit, or where are we at?
I don't know.
It's 6:30.
15 minutes enough?
Hey, Jim, hang on a
Who
minute.
seconded your motion?
My Happy New Year. My motion is for 15 minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?